I left my country just to avoid paying child support to a child that isn't mine. 18 years ago, I came to know that my son wasn't mine. He was 3 when I found out my wife cheated on me with my friend. I was devastated. It is as if my whole world just crushed. My best friend, who I thought was my well-wisher, betrayed me the worst possible way. Needless to say, we got divorced, and my ex didn't suffer any consequences. The court doesn't care if the kid is your biological child or not. You have to pay for child support. My ex was vindictive, so she intentionally quit her job so that she could get more money. After 6 months of this, I reached my breaking point. At that time, a work friend of mine joked that I should just leave this country. That's when it hit me. I am not going to spend the next 15 years of my life caring for the bad decisions my ex made. I started to plan my exit. I took out all the money from my bank account, quit my job, and sold my car. I also sold some of my belongings. I never said a word to anyone except for my mom. She knows where I am, and I am 100% sure she won't snitch. The last thing I said to my ex was, I would rather die than pay a single penny to you via text. From there, I boarded my flight and went to a country further away where they cannot find me. For the sake of my privacy, I will not mention which country. But let's just say I came to country A by plane, and from there I journeyed by road to a nearby country. It is a third world country with a lot of greeneries. It wasn't that hard, considering if you bribe the border guards, they will let you in the country. From there, I started to teach English in a primary school in a village. I was mostly traveling every 6 months because staying one place at a time could be dangerous. I changed my name and also all my documents. There were some official documents that I couldn't because they ask for your passport number. I still work as a teacher, but on the side I have a small side business. I am married to the most amazing and kindest woman I have ever met, and together we have 2 daughters. Now, aside from my mom, my wife also knows about my past life, and she has been really supportive of me. The people in this country have accepted me as their own. They always come forward to help us. This country might be behind in many things, but I do not lack anything. I do not live a lavish life here, but I can get whatever I want if I spend money. Literally, there is a guy for everything. I do miss my home country, my mom, my brother, and my friends. I miss the life I used to have, but I know I cannot go back right now. I do not have social media. I just have one Facebook where I do not post anything, rather than stalk my friends and family to keep up what they are doing. I do sometimes visit my ex's and ex's son's profile. That kid is doing well and studying in med school. I am happy for him and also proud of him too. I don't know if my ex is still married or single, but every so often she would mention how I walked out of her life, how hard it was for her to raise her son. To them, I am just a ghost. Maybe some people just accepted that I ended myself. But I'm happy with my life now. I know people will call me selfish. That how can I do this to a child? He is innocent. I don't care. I am not willing to pay money for a kid that isn't mine, and I was deceived into playing the role of his father. I do not blame him at all. I blame his mom. Also, I do not encourage people to follow my path, but I will advise guys to take a paternity test before signing any birth certificate. I wish paternity fraud cases were taken seriously. Now for the top comments. She quit her job for more paying support for her. This part is just so vindictive. Well aware that you're not a father, to quit so she gets the most of her ill-gotten gain. And now playing the role of martyr when the father may still be around. This woman has so much audacity she has to be stealing it from others. For your information, if you moved originally from the US, there is a statute of limitations on child support orders in most states. Check what state you came from and what theirs is. For example, in Colorado, it is 20 years. In Texas, it is 10 years from the time the child is 18, and California is none. This is if there was a valid court order for child support. If you just disappeared, there might not even be a court order for child support, so you could check that as well. From where I am, it is when the child turns 18. I did check a few days ago because I was feeling homesick. I miss my mom and my brother, but still, I don't know how to face any of them. I don't know if my ex could somehow find a loophole and sue me for child support. I know she would try to find a way. Can't your mom and brother meet up with you? I'm still looking at my options. Do you still keep in touch with your mom if she knows where you are? Nope. I talked to her last 6 years ago. She said she will be moving soon. She did give me her new number. We talked through emails. Emails have hidden header data that might reveal your local internet service provider and identify the country or region that you are located in, by the way. I use my wife's email though. I know that still doesn't keep me safe, but my mom is anything but a snitch. I don't think the police is tapping into her server or email just to get me. They have bigger crimes to solve. Some of these folks are nuts. You want the guy to be roped into a relationship with a child that isn't biologically his, with an ex that is vindictive, paying child support on a child that isn't yours for the next 2 decades? Not to mention the craziness that will ensue with this worthless woman. It makes sense to these people for this man to endure this for a large portion of his life. For what? Because the child knows him? Sounds to me like the fellow doesn't like being railroaded and found a solution. But it's not like you had to sacrifice anything to do so, am I right? Gotta love these armchair quarterbacks and their 2020 hindsight vision to tell you how you should have handled an extreme situation they are not involved in. I'm glad you escaped that insanity. I'm just sorry that poor child was born to such an awful woman. I wish that kiddo all the luck in the world. Next story. My wife has been lying to me for 3 years about her daughter. Rather a long story here. So I'm in the military. I'm married and have 5 kids. What a life, right? Towards the end of 2019, I returned from a deployment after my wife had our 3rd child. 2020 hit, COVID struck, and I found myself at home more than I guess my wife wanted. While I was deployed, she became friends with the wife, and subsequently the husband as well. Back to 2020, my wife and I fought a lot because she was spending 106 to 140 hours a week at their house. Meanwhile, I was working the gates from April through June. I noticed the relationship my wife and the husband had wasn't normal, and I wasn't okay with it. Obviously, this was a point of contention because I was telling her how and who she should spend her time with. We fought a lot. But from my end, I was angry because it seemed like she didn't want to spend time with me. As it would turn out, my wife got drunk and slept with my neighbor's husband, got pregnant, and early 2021, her daughter was born. Our newborn has multiple medical issues, which caused her to be in the hospital for 3-ish months. All the while I had to regularly duty and watch my other 3 kids while she was at the NICU. Long short of it, over the next 14 months, I was moved to another post, but they couldn't come because of our daughter. We fought over time, from sexting to how to raise our kids. And when I took a leave, we fought over her new collection of private toys I found by accident. Eventually, in 2022, I was able to relocate back to them. Oh, did I mention while on shore leave, we conceived our 5th kid? Yeah, yikes. So I'm back home and things are going a bit better after our 5th is born. Come mid-2023, I find a flash drive hidden carefully in a box of Diva cups in my wife's cabinet. Against my better judgment, I decided to go through it. Inside, I found multiple pictures she has backed up from her phone, to include pictures of the kids' vacations, holidays. I also found some photos I hadn't been sent. Spicy photos, and a screenshot of a text revealing my 4th kid wasn't mine. My wife had known. She had also been sexting my neighbor's husband, sending nudes and such, and had been inviting him over to see his daughter. As I looked and looked through the pictures and the dates, I realized she had been taking her to secret rendezvous while I had been back home, or had him in our house to see her. It has been almost 3 months since I found out. I'm still in disbelief that this is real. When I found out, the first thing I wanted to do was wrap my car around a tree. Thankfully, 2 of my squad members put everything in perspective for me. Even still, my mind is constantly split, and paranoia controls my thoughts if I'm not vigilant. I ask why questions a lot, but she doesn't have answers. And I really don't think if she did, they would make me feel better. I feel like a joke. I feel disrespected for everything I've done for my family. It hurts when I look at my daughter, knowing she won't know and didn't ask for this. Anyway, that's my story. One that only 3 people actually know. I hope and pray no one would ever have to feel the way I do. If this dude is also in the military, can't he be in trouble for cheating on his wife? Conduct unbecoming or something like that? Way ahead of you. Get DNA testing in all your kids. And dump all of your alcohol in your home. Are you planning on telling your neighbor's wife about all of this mess? If I found out not only did my spouse cheat, but had a kid and kept it a secret from me, it would mean divorce. Are you just gonna play happy family now and keep the wife in the dark? Yes, through some form of freaky magic, she was informed, given all the details on digital format. What she did after, I could care less. Like I said, it has been almost 3 months. A lot has transpired that I didn't post. In the past, at several different times, I have made friends with several different women that were different armed forces wives. From my understanding of everything they talked about, fidelity is the rarity. Most of them cover for each other. I advise everybody who's in the military to get DNA testing on all of your children. The chances of them being yours is relatively low. It's crazy, because I would meet these women, they would brag all about the things they were doing. And later, when their husband was in town, they would invite him to hang out with me and other friends who all know they are cheating on them. It's really awkward. Same experience when I was dating a Marine. Made me sick to hang out with his friends, who would go outside to grill and leave me in the house with these women. They all were cheating and laughing about it together, showing each other pictures. After my ex and I broke up, though we remained friends, he said the guys were doing the same stuff outside while grilling. It's almost like it's an agreement they all have. Very strange. As a former military spouse, I can attest to this. I married a stereotypical service member when I was 19. We really were the textbook stupid young couple. We all make mistakes. Being a military wife was almost the most isolating experience of my life. I'm thankful that I worked and went to university. That was my saving grace. Almost every wife I met was asking what I planned for when my husband is gone, meaning who I had on the back burner. It left me with 2 military wife friends whom I could trust from each place. Given that we moved a couple times, I ended up with a healthy handful. However, to hear those other wives talk, especially those of the senior enlisted and officers, it was disgusting. They were so different when their husbands were around. I always thought there was no way the husbands were that oblivious. I was grateful the guys regularly received STD testing, being in combat MOSs. And these same women had the audacity to get angry over simple interactions. For example, a lower enlisted soldier asked me if I could make the brownies I made a week prior of his birthday coming up. I said sure, why not, and baked them the night before his birthday in a disposable foil pan for my husband to take to work. The next day, my phone blew up with angry messages from his wife. Or another SNCO's wife who quite literally cussed me out at hers and her husband's barbecue because I said, I hope you wanted turkey on your sliders because that's how I made them. To cheat so boldly then be so trivially angry, I've never understood. Just make it make sense. Last story. I left home because my wife favors our deadbeat son over me. I just walked out of my house with my belongings, leaving behind 20 years of marriage and 3 kids, 18 male, 15 male, and 14 male. All of this because my wife would rather shield my oldest son than teach him about life. My oldest son, Alex, has always been a handful. He was never a good student, had behavior issues like going to parties and coming back drunk. I'd try to set him straight, but my wife always coddled him. I put him on various forms of punishment, but she would always go talk to him, offering support. This year, he graduated high school without getting into any colleges. I saw it coming, but my wife held on to hope. I sat him down and told him that if he wanted to keep living with us, he needed to work. He did manage to get a job, but got fired after a month. Now it's been like 6 weeks he claims he's looking for a job and can't find one, and I don't believe him. Last week, he dropped a bombshell that his girlfriend is pregnant. I was furious. He doesn't have a job, and now he's making his girlfriend pregnant? I decided to kick him out, but my wife wouldn't allow it, saying we'd be abandoning him in his toughest time, and because of her, I backed down. But then last night, Alex came home drunk, and he's not even old enough to drink legally. I couldn't take it anymore, and told my wife to choose between him and me. Today, we argued again and I left home. I work 10 hours a day and have a 3-hour commute. I'm exhausted, and I won't be supporting an adult son who doesn't work, along with his girlfriend and baby. I'm going to rent a place, and if any of the younger kids want to live with me, they're welcome. But Alex, I'll only talk to him once he shows he's become a real man. Get legal advice. Leaving the marital home may leave you in a bad spot financially if ever a divorce is to occur. To be honest, his youngest son is 14, so if a divorce happens, any child support will be very temporary. At that age, custody is symbolic more than anything else. Kids can choose with who to live. Alimony is a bigger issue in this case, but that is regardless of whether he leaves or not. In Canada, where I'm from, 20 years is a long-term marriage. That could mean spousal support is indefinite. Don't know what the laws are where OP is from. But if divorce happens, it could be very complicated even with the children being older. My mom was like this with my brother. Only saw him as her darling angel who could do no wrong. Seriously messed up. Now he's a subcontractor, new baby, mortgage beyond his capacity because of interest rate rises, and mom is still helping him. Like when mom's money runs out, he is in for one hell of a life lesson. As bitter as I am, man, if I got the money he has got over the years, I'd be laughing. I at least know how to figure out problems on my own and live and make choices knowing I don't have a safety net. He could sell his boat, go full-time so he had to leave, buy a cheaper car, reduce his expensive hobbies, work more, but nope. Mom is paying his mortgage. Make sure golden child brother knows that when mom's money faucet dries up, you're not going to step up to fill in the gap. He'll be on his own. You have to let your children fail and get back up again. You can't just rush in and save the day every time something doesn't go their way or pan out. It's hard as heck to watch it happen, but the only way to learn some lessons is to get it wrong. Having kids has given me a new appreciation for my parents, to be honest. I was an a-hole as a teenager. Now my friend has a son who's a new shiny version of what I was, and I just want to shake some sense into him. My dad just left a 6-year relationship, his first long-term since losing my mom, because his partner wouldn't let her youngest son fail. He is my age, 30s, alcoholic, bipolar, unemployed, claims self-employed electrician but never works. At the last I knew, owed his mother close to $60,000. My dad walked when her son owed him almost $20K, and instead of him going to rehab, as my dad and his girlfriend had discussed and agreed upon, girlfriend moved her son in with them. Last dad heard from real estate and girlfriend when asking for his money back. They have been evicted from rental, and she's bankrupt but still cuddling. Forget to put in medicated next to bipolar, because he insists he doesn't need them.